Just let it sink in. Just that sweet smell of victory, huh? That taste of victory against Dallas. Oh, doesn't it feel good, Eagles Nation? Doesn't it feel great, I should say, to beat that team? Not only to beat that team, but when you're in a division title race with that team in an all meaningful game in week 16 at home at the link, which, by the way, the fans, yet again, awesome job to all you Eagle Nation out there who was loud and proud the whole game. The Dallas sucks chants over and over again from start to finish. Not Dallas Goddard, although maybe that motivated him a little more. But no, the Dallas sucks chants, throughout the game, and being loud, being vocal, giving that home field advantage that we as Eagles Nation know how to do, which, by the way, they get one more victory this coming Sunday against the Giants, and they will host a wild card game, whether it's the Seahawks, 49ers, whoever it is. They will host that team here and in South Philly at the link on wild card, whether it be Saturday or Sunday, and it will be great. I know the fans will be there vocal as always, but of course to get to that game we have to beat the Giants in week 17, but we'll worry about that game later in the week. Let's continue to bask in the glory, shall we? Let's just continue to just enjoy this 17-9 victory over the hated Dallas Cowboys, and it's been a while. It's been over a season, almost a calendar 2 years since the last time the Eagles beat Dallas. And it's awesome. It's great to beat them. Not only to beat them, but to beat them in the biggest game that these two teams have played against one another in quite some time. The last meetings that they lost to Dallas, yeah, it was tough. It was, anytime you lose to them. But it wasn't with everything on the line like it was last night. And yet again, what did we have? We had Carson Wentz playing an efficient performance by Carson Wentz, as Ike Reese would love to say, let that Bronco buck, and they let him buck last night. He was efficient. And when you look at the receiving core that he has, I know Dallas fans are probably going to say, well, our receivers kept dropping the ball. Well, have you not noticed the Eagles receivers all season, those receiving core that just can't make plays left and right, all those weeks leading up to, this stretch of games here where the Eagles have played it together, have won 3 straight games. This receiving core on this team for most of the season has been inept. I guess the Cowboy receivers must have got a case of Aguilaritis last night, some of those drops. Because we know what those drops look like around here with number 13 and number 17. Okay, when they were in there, being malcontents, dropping passes, stone hands. We had the Philadelphia Masonry Works as our wide receiver core for most of the season, bringing back Jordan Matthews, Mac Hollins, those guys. And you know what's the difference? They're not here. They're not on the field. Now you have guys who want it. Now you have hungry receivers that want to make plays, like Ward out there making plays, Boston Scott making plays, Dallas Goddard making plays, young, hungry. They want it. The moment is not too big for them. They're not folding under the pressure like alligator arms would do. I know he had a really good 2017 and was part of the Super Bowl, and, that will always be remembered. But for most of his career, he's been stone hands. So listen, I'm glad that the last 3 weeks we have young, most part inexperienced, but hungry players. And see what the difference is? This is what I've been saying. The difference has always been when you have a quarterback, a franchise quarterback, the wide receivers, the running backs, the tight ends, you got to make plays for the guy. All season long, leading up to this stretch, they simply weren't making enough plays for him. I know he was holding onto the ball too long and fumbling the ball, and that still has to be, corrected. Yesterday he fumbled the ball too, but he recovered it. But for the most part, damn it, make plays for the man. When the ball is there to be caught, to make a play, catch it. And finally, we come into this stretch after that, I'll even count the Dolphin game because, it wasn't because of the offense they lost that game. Okay? So finally, from that week on into now we have guys that are making plays for number 11. And now you see him when he's at his best. He's making plays, sure, but when that ball's in the air for those players to make the catch, they're making the catch. They're making plays. The coaching staff is using Miles Sanders a little more. He's your most explosive offensive weapon, and they're using him now, which is good. You got to let your players make plays. And Carson Wentz has been Carson Clutch. Previous 2 weeks, game-winning drives. This week, efficient. Played well from start to finish. Yeah, there were some moments in there where, they were having some issues. Okay, and I thought some of the play calling was a little questionable. 3rd and 1, if you know you're going for it on 4th down, why aren't you handing the ball off there? It's 1 yard or quarterback sneak or something. I don't know. But irregardless, today's not a day to complain, even though Jake Elliott was a little less than helpful in the game. Today is a day to bask in what was a great win. A great win. And, people can talk all they want about, Carson Wentz hasn't been in the playoffs. Carson Wentz hasn't won a playoff game. Basically, the last 3 games have been playoff games. And I know it doesn't count as a playoff win. I completely understand that. I was talking to my buddy Big Slim about this last night. I get that. I'm not saying that these are playoff games because in the grand scheme of things, they're not. It's a regular season game. But you need to get these wins to make the playoffs, to win the division. So, in a sense, these are the best example of a playoff game that he's been in to this point in his career. Because obviously he got hurt in 2017, 2016, they weren't going to make the playoffs. And then last year he gets hurt, he doesn't finish the season. So right now, what he's doing in these last 3 weeks, 2 game-winning drives against the Giants and Redskins, and then yesterday, efficient performance against Dallas, outplayed Dak. For all these people out there who, Dak and Carson, Dak's better than Carson. Oh, yeah? How'd that performance look last night for you? And a must-win for Dallas with everything on the line. No touchdowns. Dallas, and I hate to bring this up because I normally don't want to be one of those guys, I told you so, but I told you so about the Rams win. Everyone was making so big a deal that Dallas beat the Rams a week ago. Oh, look at them. Oh, here they come. Here they come. They found it. They beat the Rams. I told you the Rams are a paper team. They showed it again against the 49ers, lost that game. Now they're out of the playoffs. I told you about the Rams. Sometimes you just have to use your eyes. And sometimes you can be blinded by one performance. And it was a great performance for them a week ago against the Rams. Not taking credit away from it. But it was one game. The whole stretch of games leading up to that offense was putting up garbage time numbers. For most of those games, they were inept. That team was inept for most of those games. Up until the fourth quarter with the game already out of reach, then they started putting up numbers. But that team has been wildly as inconsistent as it comes. I knew it. I knew going into this week, people were making way too big a deal about their performance against the Rams. I said, look, that was in Dallas. It was one game. I've seen more of that team in the past month and a half or so to know that one game isn't just going to, the light's not going to switch on because they still have that coach there. They still have him. They still have players who should be more talented than they are. But in the big moments when the lights come on, they haven't done it. For most of the time, they have not done it. And what did we see last night? Dallas looked completely inept. They couldn't score touchdowns. You kept them to field goals. Their receivers are dropping passes. The Dallas fans are going to try to make excuses about Dak's shoulder. Okay? No, it wasn't a shoulder issue. It was just Dak being inconsistent, overthrowing receivers, putting the ball, on deep throws. He's never been a great deep passer, overthrowing receivers on deep passes. Just look, not a great performance for him, but a great performance from the Bronco. A great performance from Carson Clutch last night. He got it done. Dak and Dallas, they didn't. They simply didn't. And I knew coming into this game, if the Eagles play their game, they're going to have a great chance to win this game. Because I don't care what Dallas did against the Rams last week. I've seen enough of that team the last few weeks to know what they are. And they don't have it in here. They don't have it in here. They're a bunch of tin men. Tin men. They don't have that ticker. They don't. And the Eagles, the last few weeks, they've been playing with heart. Young guys wanting to make plays. Carson playing well. Players making plays. It's their time of year, let's not forget. This is when the Eagles turn it on the last few. This is when they make that push. They did it last season when everyone thought they were out of it. They're doing it this season when everyone thought they were out of it after the Dolphin loss. They have it in here. And they play for Doug Peterson. They play for him. They've done nothing but show us that over the last few years, including a Super Bowl championship. So if there's any team that's going to be able to turn around and go on a run, it's this one. And I knew coming into this game that Dallas, too much is being put on what they did against the Rams when you're not looking at the total picture of what they are. And they showed what they are last night. Gutless. Overrated. Tin men. Don't have it in here. Don't have that ticker. Don't have it. And the Eagles did what they had to do to beat them. Exactly what they had to do to beat them. They were physical with them. The defensive line was physical with that offensive line. Our offensive line was physical with their defensive line. We ran on them. And kudos to the coaching staff. Kudos to Doug Peterson and the coaching staff for running the ball. Using your weapon in Miles Sanders. I know he got stood up a few times, but the running backs who have it, who have the ability to break one, will make plays. You got to keep giving him the ball, and that's what they did, and he made plays. Scored a touchdown, finished off the game with a big run and slid. I know that might not have helped people in fantasy. Finished the game strong, and that's what they did. And number 11, he played. Oh, did he play? He was making plays left and right. You didn't have his primary receiver out there. Zach Ertz got hurt with ribs. He was out. So what does Carson do? He filters the ball around. People always say that the great quarterbacks make the players around them better. Okay? And what's Carson done in the last few weeks? With a practice squad receiver, with a guy brought in off the street, with a rookie who sometimes doesn't run right routes, he's making them better. He's elevating their game. And yeah, they're hungry. You know, like Lane Johnson said a few years ago, Kelsey rather said Lane and Kelsey said a few seasons ago during the Super Bowl run, it was hungry dogs run faster. And you have a bunch of hungry dogs out there, guys who want to make a name for themselves in this league. I mean, you got a guy like Greg Ward Jr. who's had to literally earn his wings. He was on the practice squad for many years, cut a few times from the team, never could make it on another team, played in the other defunct league for a bit, comes back, and now is proving it on the field. And I think he's done a hell of a job. He's a reliable, sure-handed receiver, which is something we needed on this team. But Carson Wentz is making throws, man. He's hanging in there. He's getting pressured. He's getting out of it, making throws, keeping this team in the playoff hunt. Won 2 games leading up to that, and people say, oh, well, it was against the Giants and the Redskins. Look at the records. I've said this before, and I will say this until the end of time. I don't care what the records are. When you get in December, it doesn't matter. Everyone's 0-0. You have to look at it that way. Because if you overlook a team because of their record and you're in a division race, a tight division race, you're going to get burned. Look at Seattle yesterday. Who'd they lose to? At home. The last place Arizona Cardinals. So for everyone who says, it doesn't matter, the Giants and the Redskins, look at their record. What was the record of the Arizona Cardinals who went to Seattle and beat the Seahawks, who were in a tight division race with the 49ers and knowing that San Francisco won the night before? They lost to Arizona, and Arizona even lost their starting quarterback, Murray, during the game. And they still beat Seattle, in Seattle. Well, that doesn't matter. But the Eagles can beat teams like the Giants and the Redskins because of their records, and Dallas, that's a 500 team because of their record. Oh, well, look who they're beating. Yeah, look who they're beating. This is when you have to play your best football. And for what it's worth, the Eagles are one of the hottest teams in the league right now. 3 straight wins. If they can beat the Giants in the Meadowlands this Sunday, 4 straight wins. Going into the playoffs, a wild card home game against whoever, the Giants, the 49ers, whoever it is. If you play Seattle, you're playing a banged-up team. If you're playing San Francisco, you're playing a mostly playoff unproven team. You know, where you guys have guys on this Eagles team who won a Super Bowl a few years ago. You know, so we'll see. I'll take my chances against either one of those teams. I really will. Because I believe in number 11, and I believe in this team. I've seen nothing but this team being able to put it together over the past few years and go on runs. I mean, they're an Alshon Jeffrey catch away from who knows how that game could have ended in New Orleans last year. Maybe the Eagles are back in the NFC title game. Maybe they're back in the Super Bowl because they matched up well against the Rams last season. Bottom line is, this is the time of year that you have to be playing your best football. And last night we saw the Eagles play one of their best all-together games of the season. And I tell you, I don't have a little Eagles football. It's over there and out of reach right now. But Festive and I, if we had to give a game ball out, have to give it to the Eagles. To the Eagles. Offensively, they were dominant when they had to be. Defensively, they were dominant. They made plays. They had a takeaway at a crucial time on the fumble by the backup running back for Dallas. Okay? They made plays. They stopped the run. Hey, how do you stop Dallas? Forget about Dak. You have to stop Zeke. You stop Zeke. You hold Zeke to under 75 yards. Look at Dallas's record over the past, since Zeke's been in the league. If you hold him to under 75 yards, I think it's something like 8 out of 10 times you're going to beat them. So you got to control their running game, and that's what the Eagles did. To the point that the Dallas, I believe one of their offensive linemen said after the game, and why they weren't running more, said, well, the Eagles weren't letting us. You know, we couldn't do what we wanted to do. So we had to go back. We had to go more to the pass because they were stopping the run. The Eagles made it the priority number one that they had to stop Zeke. And look, they've been beat by Zeke, you know, over the years. This is the first time they've beaten Dallas with Zeke in the lineup. Okay? So they knew they had to stop Dallas's running game. They had to stop Zeke, and I forget the name of the backup, who torched the Rams a week ago. You have to stop those guys if you're going to have a chance to, you know, neutralize that offense, because Dak's not going to do it himself. All due respect to the man, and I do think he's talented. I don't think he's a bust or anything, but he's not going to beat you himself. He's just not. And last night he was wildly inconsistent. Some receivers were having drops, and some veterans were having drops too. You saw Witten have a drop. Cooper, had a drop in there too. And I know he wasn't there on the last play, that the attempt to why am I blanking on the receiver's name? Number 13, Gallup at the end. By the way, great coverage by Mr. Jones, and I know Sidney Jones has been much maligned, but boy, with everything on the line right there, he made a heck of a play. He made a heck of a play on the ball. He defended that pass better than I've seen an Eagles cornerback defend a pass in quite some time. But look, all together they played well. The front was getting pressure. They stopped and neutralized the run. They made Dallas one-dimensional. Even though it was a close game for most of the game, they made Dallas one-dimensional. They made Dak try to beat him himself, and that just wasn't going to happen. They were not going to allow Dallas to beat them yesterday. They just weren't. It was an emotional game. Hey, look, it's an NFC East battle. Okay? 2 old-time rivals going at it. Okay? A team we all love to hate around here. And boy, it feels great to beat them, because it's been a little while since we did that. But they earned that victory. They were out. Had a phone call there. But no, they out-physicaled them. They earned that victory. They got that win because they wanted it more. They simply wanted it more. They made the plays. Carson played well. Offense played well. Defense played well. It was one of the defense's best games of the season, I felt. They really came together, and they wanted that one. You can tell. They were playing with fire. I mean, they had a lot of emotion in that game. It was an emotional game. It really was. It was a playoff-type game. And people can talk about the records all they want. I don't care about the records. It doesn't matter to me. Because when you get to the playoffs, everyone's 0-0. I don't care what you did in the regular season. We saw a perfect Patriots team lose to the Giants. What was the Giants' record when they got to the playoffs? What were they, like 9-7 or something like that? Right? We've seen teams sneak into the playoffs. The Packers did it. The Steelers did it. Right? The Giants did it a couple times. It's not to say it couldn't happen. Now, I'm not sitting here saying, we're going to win Super Bowl 54. But what I'm saying is get in. Get in. You get in, you have a shot. If you don't get in, you don't have a shot at all. And it's going to come down to this Sunday at the Meadowlands, 4:25 start, because Dallas is playing at 4:25, so they flexed. I think they flexed both games to the 4:25 time slot there. So we'll see. Hey, look, it was a lot of emotion put into this game last week. I hope that the Eagles can rev it up again this week against the Giants. I really do. It is one of those games that, you just played a big emotional game, like almost like a playoff game last night. You lost some players again. Surprise, surprise to injury. And we're going to go up against the Giants, to try to win a division title for the first time since the Super Bowl year 2017. NFC East champs. And that's what it's about right now. Winning the division, I don't care what the division was. You win the division, you're in. You host a wild card game. If you win that, you get D-Jacks back more than likely. You go on the road. You see what happens. You see what happens. Hey, look, this team snuck into the playoffs years ago, and they went to the NFC title game in 2008 against the Cardinals. They lost that game in a heartbreak fashion, but they snuck into the playoffs that year. They beat the Vikings on the road, then they beat the Giants, who were the number 1 seed, on the road, and then they went and lost to the Cardinals, in University of Phoenix, at the time, University of Phoenix Stadium. But they got there, and they just snuck in. They needed things to break for them at the end. It did. They crushed Dallas, what was it, 44-6? And then they got in there, and they did some damage. They gave us a ride. And it was unexpected at the time. Going into the last few weeks of that season. We didn't know what to expect. We needed a lot of help, and they got it, and they snuck in, and they went on a run. Sometimes that's all you can ask for. So give a chance. You don't have a chance if you don't get in. Give a chance. And look, over the last 3 weeks, they won all 3 games, and they keep their hope alive to win a division title and to make the playoffs. And everyone's 0-0 when the playoffs start. Believe me. Everyone's 0-0. There's so many upsets. There's so many things that happen. Maybe not so much with the Patriots, but overall. And speaking of the Patriots, it's like I said with the Eagles receivers. Look, the Patriots offense looked like trash some weeks ago. Well, what happened? Guys start playing better. These young receivers that they have start making some plays. Tom Brady gets more comfortable with them. They're actually making plays for him, and now he has belief in them. To the point that it looks like a dangerous offense going into the playoffs. Same thing with the Eagles. Guys are starting to make plays, and it doesn't matter what quarterback you have. If guys are not going to make the catches that are there to be made, it's not going to matter. Receivers run the wrong routes. Guys don't know where the sticks are in crucial situations. Guys drop the ball in crucial situations. Guys need to make plays for the quarterbacks. But Carson's played really well. He played well in that Miami loss. He played well against the Giants. Game-tying drive late in the fourth quarter, and game-winning drive in overtime. Played well against the Redskins. Game-winning drive to Ward to win that game. And then last night played well. Outplayed Dak. It wasn't even close. Playoff type game, playoff atmosphere, and he's won those games. So far, he's perfect in those situations. So great win yesterday. Look, it was a typical NFC East type game. A lot of emotion, a lot of plays to be made, and the Eagles made most of them. It was good to see. Elliott needs to get a little better with. He hasn't been good since they paid. I guess his pockets are a little more full these days, so he's just missing some field goals. But we need him to step up too. We're going to need him to make some big kicks, for this team. Possibly even this week. So we need him to be better, and going forward, and they win this game into the playoffs. We're going to need him to to be better as the kicker. Make those money kicks that he's made in the past. So, anyhow, look, great win last night, 17-9, kept Dallas out of the end zone. They played spirited, they played with passion, and they play. It was an emotional win. It was an emotional game for them. They wanted to beat that team. You knew they did. They lost to them the previous how many times? And obviously the division was on the line, and their playoff lives were on the line. If they lost that game, it was over. So it was a must-win, and they got it done. And now they have another must-win against the Giants in the Meadowlands this Sunday. So, take care of business there, and they win the division. They win the division, they get in the playoffs. They have a home game in the wild card round. So, exciting. It's definitely a great day. I mean, look, the Eagles, anytime you can beat Dallas, I always say it's a great thing, particularly with how much was on the line for them last night, and they got it done. So kudos to them. Game ball, like I said, all around. Maybe Jake doesn't get a piece of it, but the rest of the players can all get a touch of the game ball, and let's keep this thing going. All right, just wanted to make it short. And also last night I want to give a shout out to all my buddies who came. House full of Eagle fans here, all just revved up and enjoyed the game. Lots of great moments and to be had last night. So, of course, Big Slim and Mark M. And the captain was here, Jason, Tony. Sneaky Pete was here. Hope I'm not leaving anyone out. I'm trying to think because we had Big Slim here. I had Sneaky Pete. I had Mark M. I had Tony. And the captain, Jason. So, yeah. Like I said, it was a good time. And of course, myself. So... So anyhow, great win for the Eagles yesterday. It feels good. It feels good to have won that game, get over that hurdle, and now have another one to get over, this Sunday to finish it up. Look, wrap it up. At this point, just wrap it up. No excuses. I know there's a lot of injuries on this team and what have you, but get it done. The Giants, look, they're dangerous. I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk, breeze of a game. Hey, as an Eagle fan, you learn to have these games where you're going to be on the edge of your seat. But, hey, I'm glad they won last night so that it sets it up for next week, Sunday rather, and a chance to get the division title and get back into postseason. So, all right, Eagles Nation, great win last night. Let's keep this thing going. Keep it rolling. Dallas sucks. Which, by the way, it was good to see the Stave Puft Marshmallow Man was there, Christy, in Dallas's owner's box yesterday to enjoy that loss. So, anyhow, so for Festive and I, of course, just want to say again, as I said in the last video, happy holidays. Gotta find the switch for this. Here it is. Festive wanted to wear the hat today, so there it is. So happy holidays to all. Go Birds! Another one again, another big game this Sunday. Got some friends coming again this Sunday in the Mighty Kingdom in the Man Cave to watch this one. Eagles versus Giants to get the division crown to make the postseason. Third straight year if they can do it. To make the postseason under Doug Peterson. So, that's pretty good. Of course, we all remember the first one, but how that one ended. Last year, all right, didn't end as good, but they got there, and we'll see what happens this year if they can get there. But we'll worry about that in the next vid. Again, this is a bask in the victory video for the Eagles. Eagles win, 17-9 against the Dallas. To improve their record to 8-7, try for 9-7 in the division title this coming Sunday. All right, everyone, take care. Happy holidays. Go Birds as always, and I'll see you with the preview vid for what hopes to be a division clincher against the Giants in the Meadowlands this Sunday. All right, everyone, take care.